Hello and welcome back to the port. I'm the Galloping Major.
And I'm Eggy Harris, and today we're taking a first look at the Russian battleships. But first, we're going to cover a few things that may have been missed from the patch notes.
First of all, Prince Eugen has dropped into the store. However, one thing we have noted is that Prince Eugen, Atago, and Tirpitz are all now listed as limited offer, and HMS Monarch is no longer available.
Yeah, so we're thinking there's a potential cycle of global XP ships that could come out each patch, but we're yet to tell, obviously, until the next update. So they could be bringing in new global XP ships, they could be bringing back old ones. Another thing that's interesting is there's now a mission for your Tier 2 premium ships. So with all the Tier 2s that they keep throwing at us, we can finally earn one promotion order a week from your premium supplies, which is a pretty nice bonus to have at the end of the week.
Another one is that the voiceover automatically sets a common. So if you want to change over to national voices, then you're going to have to do that when you log in. And then also for the HUD increase size, that will be disabled. So maybe play around with enabling it in game and see how you get on with it.
Yeah, so I mean, we've played around with it a little bit because we find it quite funny. The national voiceovers changes the language of all of the commanders, not their accents. So you really have to either know the languages or play this game enough that you learn which is port side and starboard side in all of the languages. Otherwise, you're going to get a torpedo indicator that doesn't really tell you which side they're coming from.
Yeah, I mean, I usually play British, so for me, it's nice to have the British accent slash style of voice. However, when your friendly battleship is talking in Russian and your friendly cruiser's talking in Japanese, you won't understand them when they're saying set a smoke screen or target the enemy ship or thank you and things like that. So it can be a bit intriguing at the moment due to the lack of there being a chat menu or chat feed on the left. You're going to have to either second guess what they're doing or kind of just ignore them. So I think one thing you were saying for competitive play, this could be you might want to switch to common almost.
Yeah, I think I definitely would. With rank play, you're not going to want to be second guessing what your teammates are saying. You want to know in your main language, really. Otherwise, it kind of defeats the object of having a chat wheel if you can't really hear what they're actually telling you.
Mm. That's fair enough. Well, we're starting at the Tier 3 Russian battleship, the GANGUT. She looks interesting. Lots of guns.
Yeah. Can you tell which way is the front and back?
Um, it depends when they're going forwards.
Yeah. It does look very similar from the front to the back, which may confuse the enemy sometimes, but I don't think it's going to really.
No, I think one thing we noted is that just looking at her, the gun angles, I think you're going to have a slightly less broad stance, shooting towards getting all your turrets to the rear than getting all your turrets to the front. It all depends on how these lifeboats slash steamboat willies kind of affect your traversing of your rear turret.
Yeah, so something to think about there. Maybe we could find out once we do a full review of the ship whether we've worked out if it takes it into account or not. So, looking at the survivability, 37,000 hit points and a pretty reasonable armor thickness, but nothing brilliant. Pretty average for the tier.
Yeah, no, it seems quite average. Going on to the artillery, we're on 12-inch guns, so we got 12 of those. Quite a good fire chance, though, we've noted, and this seems to be a continuing thing, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's almost sort of British HE fire chance, and they do pretty good damage. So maybe a HE spammer if that's your kind of thing.
Then
Um,
firing range of these secondaries is 4.3 kilometers, so it's not the kind of brawlers that we've been led to believe, almost, isn't it?
yeah, no, they're not. They're not brilliant. They're not German territory by any means, but I guess the time will tell, depending on how you use these ships.
Going into maneuverability, 20.7 knots in a 660-meter turn circle. It seems pretty, again, like just pretty average, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'd say maybe a little low on the maximum speed, but it's only a tier 3, so the maps aren't that big. Um, So it's not really too.
Mm. Her shining star seems to be her detectability range of 11.6 kilometers.
Yeah, that seems pretty good. So, taking a look at the upgrades of the ship, so you can get up to 13.3 kilometers on main battery range. I think it's good for this ship because the detectability range is actually greater than your standard main battery, isn't it?
Yeah, I
So
think there's a 500-meter difference, so getting this 1.2 kilometers additional range is probably going to be something that you're going to beeline for over the hull upgrades, which is kind of normally you go for the hull, don't we?
yeah, we normally recommend it, but yeah, considering that, you're going to want to go for the targeting systems most likely, especially if you're not boosting the ship and you're playing all the way through. That gap between the first and second upgrade is going to be where you'll notice the difference.
Mm. Hull upgrade seems all right, and then the increased engine speed also seems pretty average, really.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
One thing to mention with these is that you will have a limited number of damage control parties. I think it's free for most of them, and you can take that up to 4 depending on commander skills and stuff. So looking at tier 4, the pardon my Russian, the Pyotr VELIKY?
Yeah. Sorry, Russian subscriber or subscribers. Don't know yet. So this is an interesting looking ship with mirrored two gun turrets front to back. So quite a big superstructure between the two of them, and
She's
quite
got
a
a
long
very
ship.
tall side as well, doesn't she?
Yeah, I mean they're going to have quite a high citadel above the water. So again, angling's going to be something you're going to have to consider more than normal. You don't really want to be broadside in any of these battleships, as we found from games earlier on, where I was citadeling broadside tier 5 Russian battleships.
Yeah, the
But
she looks very Japanese as well by the gun layout. Quite a few secondaries as well, but I don't think they're that good, are they?
no, don't think so. But a similar armor rating, but with more hit points this time, with 47,000, which is above average for the tier.
Yeah,
I haven't
increased
got.
torpedo reduction as well.
Yeah. But moving up to 14-inch guns now, still the same long 33-second reload, but the higher chance to set fire and the increased damage of these shells should overcome that for the tier.
Yeah, it
Um,
does seem like she has quite good guns for her tier in comparison to the other tech tree battleships.
yeah, again though, with disappointing secondary ranges at 4 kilometers.
Yeah, it's actually even gone down compared to the tier 3.
Yeah, I think one thing to note from the patch notes is that the recommended distance for the Russian battleships was about 11 kilometers, and now that you have a standard firing range of 13.5 kilometers, you may be able to utilize that sweet spot a bit more.
Yeah, I mean, this sweet spot of 11 kilometers, considering the tier 3 only has a range of 11 kilometers to start with, it doesn't seem to quite make much sense yet, but I think some we're going to find out through play. But I suspect maybe 11 kilometers is like a generic average of like sweet spot, but I think each ship will have its own individual sweet spot, which would probably be probably like say 2/3 maximum range or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Maneuverability, 800-meter turning circle and 23.9 knots.
Oh yeah, that turning circle's getting god awful, and it's only going to get worse as we go up.
Mm. Sorry, just taking a
Um,
sip of my wine.
how?
Detectability, um, 13.2 kilometer range. So seems all right.
Yeah, so something to note is that it's agile, so a quick rudder shift, which is useful when you have this kind of gun arrangement. You're going to want to be able to traverse change the direction of your ship so that you can aim all of your batteries if you were to go broadside a lot quicker than maybe other battleships.
Yeah, it appears that maybe the rudder digs in quite quickly, but your turn circle is quite big. One thing we were discussing is that the tier 3 is the only ship out of this tech tree that actually was built. The rest of them all appear to be paper designs, so they were designed but never implemented. So I guess in reality it means like they're a little bit made up. I mean, it's not really like it's ever been put into practice and tested. It's kind of a bit wish listy, I would say. If you get that
Yeah.
40k Warhammer reference.
Nice.
Upgrades wise, so you got 14.8 kilometer once you get the guns upgraded, and then going up to 51,000 hit points.
Yeah, quite a reasonable amount of hit points. Sort of Japanese-esque, I think.
Hmm. Yeah, you got maybe thicker armor. 26.5 knots top speed. I mean that's quite competitive, really.
Yeah, it's pretty decent.
Moving on to the tier 5, the Ismal. I suspect this would be where most people will play around at. I mean, tier 7 is not for everyone. Tier 6, you
Yeah.
can always end up getting dragged up into tier 7 games. So I suspect quite a few people kind of like to play somewhere between like tier 4 and tier 6. So this would be of
Yeah.
interest to most people.
So, for all those people that have now skipped to this part of the video, hello and welcome back to the port. Today we today we're taking a first look at the tier 5 to 7 Russian battleships.
One thing we've noted about this is due to her turret layout, it appears that she's going to have better luck running away than actually going those on, just because from the rear, the firing arcs is quite good, and you're not going to have a broad stance to get all your turrets on target, and your rear three turrets will be able to kite with you. That's compared to the front, where I think you kind of got to kick out a little bit further due to the superstructure impacting on some of those turrets. Then to kite, you're not going to be able to bring those turrets to bear as quickly.
Yeah, so I think one thing we mentioned was the fact with the guns mostly facing backwards and the large turning circle that this is going to have, you're going to want to have some pre-planning about how you're going to kite away from the conflict, not just how you're going to get in there. You're going to think long term rather than short term with these.
Actually, it has quite a lot of secondaries all over, but there's definitely two turrets which I'd like to highlight. There's this one up front where well, that's right behind you, and then I've only just noticed this one as well. This one at rear,
Oh
and you're
yeah.
even closer to that one. I mean,
Yeah, you're going to have some knackers on you for that one.
balls of steel to stand there while that one's going.
Yeah, imagine that firing with you just in front of it.
If you don't get blown over the side of the ship from the air pressure wave, then you're definitely going to get severe concussion.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be near it. Maybe that's to do with the paper design of these ships.
One thing to mention is I'm really enjoying this photo view that we can do here,
Yeah, it makes the videos flow a little bit better, and you can actually sort of look around the ship as opposed to just sort of
rather than having
spinning
all
around.
this around you. Jumping over to the stats, seems like quite good survivability. 51,700 health.
Yeah, it's nothing terrible. Increased torpedo damage reduction, which is good.
Yeah, slightly
Same
reduced
armor.
armor thickness though.
Oh yeah, okay, ever so slightly. But it has got the same guns from the Tier 4 too, which is the 14-inch. So remaining at 33-second reload time, you may want to consider not taking the main battery mod because that will probably make that a little bit longer again. So maybe opting more towards the secondary armaments,
Yeah,
increasing the
or something
range.
like
That's yeah, the range is still at 4 kilometers. So
yeah, it's quite hard to call on that one because you don't want to reduce your reload time. Well, you don't want to increase your reload time, but also your secondary seem a bit as well. Maybe going for aiming systems.
yeah, I mean, I tend to go for aiming systems as a rule of thumb anyway, so I can't disagree with that.
Good set and fire chance as well, 38%. It's very similar to what we see on some of the British battleships, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's getting pretty high. Uh,
Maneuverability, 25.7 knots and 830-meter turning circle.
yeah, so like I was saying a few moments ago, that's a large turning circle, so you're going to want to think about that.
You want to like pre-plan where you're going, aren't you?
Yeah, you don't want to just rush in there and then not be able to turn around because with a large turning circle, you're going to probably spend a long time broadside getting away from something, and if you've got a battleship in front of you, then you're probably going to be gone.
Yeah, and considering your high citadel, you you don't want to be broadside, and with this large sailing circle, you're going to be broadside for a long time, longer time than some of the others. So that's not
Yeah,
good.
I caught one out earlier on in my Arizona actually, doing my premium supplies. This poor Ismail was just broadside for too long.
Because you could easily get one volley on them, can't you? Concealment wise, 14.4 kilometers, so it seems all right.
Yeah.
And then overview, I'll hand it to you.
Yeah, so sluggish aim is the first thing that I noticed, which was again going with the pre-planning nature of these ships. So your traverse speed will be, you probably won't notice the fact that it's slow just going from port to starboard side sort of quickly, but if you're going from a full right to left, so if you're completely turning your ship around, then you may want to consider how slow your guns may be. But once they get there, they have superior AP, and there's a lot of them, so you probably can pack a punch.
Yeah, it seems like maybe kiting away, you're not going to notice that sluggishness, but actually kiting towards, you're probably going to. You don't want to be switching sides, like you're saying. One of the reasons for her large turning circle is probably just due to her beam to length ratio. She's very long, especially when you compare her to, say, like Queen Elizabeth or Bayern.
Yeah, probably about 1.25 times the length of the Queen Elizabeth.
Hmm. Yeah,
By the looks
like
of
like another another quarter longer almost, isn't she?
it. Yeah, it looks like it.
Going on to the mods, extra firing range, taking up to 28.5 knots, an additional 4,200 health. I mean, they're all good mods. There's nothing in particular I'd beeline for.
No, I'd probably just go hull, then targeting systems, then engine, like with any regular ship.
Yeah, so overall she seems like she's got like good guns, good survivability, and quite average all over. Going on to the tier 6, the Sinop, I guess.
Yeah, you know better than me. So another interesting looking ship with almost like a mini hotel as the superstructure.
Yeah, the
Kind of
Sinop
looks.
Deluxe.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like a Hilton. Um, yeah, so again quite long with a long bow, and having two-thirds of your main battery armaments on the front of the ship. This is now a bow tanking ship, I'd probably call it. So
Hmm.
kind of like an Iowa almost, where you only really go at a greater angle when you want to have that rear turret if you know you'll get a sure shot. So other than that, stay away from broadside.
Yeah, it looks like she will have quite a broad stance if you want to bring all turrets up to bear. One thing to note, she looks like she's bristling with secondaries all over, doesn't she? But almost looks semi-German, like she's a cross between like an Iowa and a Gneisenhower Iowa and a Bismarck almost, isn't she?
Yeah, it definitely looks like it. Yeah. Um, yeah, there's a lot of secondaries. Again with the close secondaries to the turrets. I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be the man that's shooting those.
Yeah. uh, Looking at her survivability, again, this appears to be quite good as well for the tier. 61,600 hit points and 400 millimeter maximum armor thickness. So we're definitely
Yeah.
getting better, aren't we?
Yeah, so as always, I think as I've learned from you actually, the armor rating is normally capable of protecting against your own guns. So moving on to artillery, there's now 16-inch guns, so they can pack a lot more of a punch, and they've got a 41% chance to set fire, making this a pyromania statted ship, which is interesting. Kind of like the British again, more like a KG5 type ship.
Yeah, yeah. That secondary range is definitely improving. It's not German style, but I think you could possibly work with that if you wanted to go for a secondary build. Maybe this could be where we start looking at brawler builds. Maybe
Yeah, just on sheer quantity as well.
that reload's quite long though. But I mean, the gun stats should be quite good, but that reload does look quite punishing, doesn't it?
Yeah, I never even realised that. 8 seconds. You could consider upgrading them and getting the reload time down. I think aiming systems again could be a good option, but that won't upgrade it as much.
I was also referring to the main battery reload. We're still 33 seconds.
Oh yeah, yeah. Again, At least the guns have got a higher range and higher caliber. But
Hmm.
yeah, 33 seconds is Colorado and Arizona territory, really.
Going into maneuverability, brace yourself for this one. She's got a 24.3 knot top speed and a 960-meter turn circle.
Yeah, that's not the best. So you're looking at about a kilometre to turn. Um, Take that into account whenever you want to change direction.
Yeah, it puts you on par with HM's Hood almost.
Mm. Yeah.
Concealment wise, 14.6. Nothing really special there, is there?
No, so like I was saying with the Pyromania stat and the superior AP, um, however, it's got a slow traverse speed. I can't see that being too much of a problem considering where the guns are placed, but yeah, it's taking away from the brawler selling point that these ships were supposed to have.
Yeah,
I think.
like you're, they sold them as like brawlers, but you're sluggish aim, so you don't really want to be getting in close, do you? Looking at the mods, increase your main battery range to 16.1 kilometers, take your health up to 65,000, reduce your rudder shift, and then there's take yourself up to 27 knots. That 27 knots seems like quite tempting, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, that is not too bad at all. And mix that with a lot of hit points there. That's that's about a Jean Bart almost, I think, at 69,000. A lot of hit points.
Yeah, you're only 4,000 off of Jean Bart, so maybe you could put Henry J. Hyde or Sims in this and maybe bring that up a little bit more.
Yeah, well, we always recommend that. That's you always want more health points.
It's just possibly that limiting number of damage control parties could be maybe harm you a little bit if you use them at the wrong time. So whatever you do, don't put your first fire out. You want to be using those for when you got about 3 or 4 fires, or you've been torpedoed. Now onto the tier 7, the VLADIVOSTOK, and
Yeah, with the golf course sized bow on the front.
then the
Uh,
tennis court at the rear as well.
oh yeah. Oh, the kind of looks like massive solar panels, but I think that's the hatch to park the aircraft in, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like like a below deck aircraft hangar. So, but yeah, that bow is absolutely massive. It's almost like a Yamato style, but just doesn't have the Yamato turrets to back it up almost.
Yeah, it looks a bit lacking on the front. I mean, I guess it gives the crew a lot of room to walk about.
Yeah, maybe there's a swimming pool under there.
Yeah, only time will tell.
She seems to have an alright stance, going to forwards and backwards, get all the guns on turret, but I suspect most people are going to be barrel tanking at this tier. It's what you see in Iowas and Jean Bars. They pretty much start the game in reverse and end the game at the back of the map.
Yeah. 67,500 hit points though, and I think in a moment you're going to see that goes up quite a lot with the upgrades. So this may be a ship that if you have Sims and Hyde, you could get up to high 70s,
Yeah.
almost 80s, which is disgusting amounts of hit points.
Yeah, looking over her, unupgraded, she compares pretty well to the Iowa with the similar like stat numbers of this like survivability, artillery, maneuverability, and concealment. So, getting on to artillery, one to 16-inch guns still, 15.4 kilometer range and a 33-second reload.
Yeah, the secondaries are getting better though with a 5 kilometer, but nothing you wouldn't expect from a tier 7 battleship.
Mm, yeah, it seems like she's another. It's just, like she doesn't appear to be anything special, just quite a slow reload but a good fire chance.
Yeah, definitely, 41%. And again, with the kilometer turning radius, yeah, that's not exciting.
Yeah,
But
maneuverability
it's quite quick though.
26 knots seem yeah. Well, 26 seems a bit slow for the tier, but I guess that does get better with the engine mod.
Yeah, that's more what I was thinking. When it's upgraded, it might be like reasonable for the tier.
And then concealment 15.3 kilometers. So that's only these seem to have very big detectabilities, or like shorter gun ranges almost, don't they?
Yeah, I think so. So, ironclad, thick armor, sure shot, superior AP. So, I think you were saying about the sure shot. So this is where the accuracy the battleship actually picks up across the board. So with the lower tiers, they kind of more naff dispersion at greater distances, and then better at short distances. Almost like they go from German dispersion to French dispersion, but the sure shot on this indicates that it should be good across the board.
Yeah, it seems like the base by changing that, she seems a lot more competitive. It'd be interesting to see what her dispersion is like, whether she is very like similar to the French. Again, she's a what if design, so not really much reality to really base her off of. Just, I think, as someone said, scribblings of children's scribblings on the fridge.
Yeah, ones is yeah.
Um, Main
Yeah,
battery
so
range going up to 16.9, so that's all right.
it's not too bad. I know a certain someone has their Iowa range at over 20 kilometers though, so you might be 3 kilometers in a deficit there.
Yeah, you might have to move in a bit closer, especially against Iowas and Jean Bars. This is one of the things you were talking about, the health points here.
Oh yeah, so up to 73,600. Mix that with a bit of William Sims and Henry J. Hyde, and you're looking at the highest hit point rated ship in the game.
Yeah, you possibly.
We'll have to get
Yeah,
back to you on that. That's just a guess.
I
But
think
I
if you
don't.
went for a health build, but what you might be sacrificing for doing that, you never quite know.
No, yeah, that's obviously down to personal preference.
And then
Um,
the engine mod taking up to 29 knots. That's going to be helpful, um, for
yeah, it's
sure,
more where you want to be.
definitely. But
But
yeah, look, yeah, we already mentioned that. Sorry.
yeah, that's fine. Yeah. So I think that kind of wraps up all of the battleships. I'm sure if we can get them in the crates, then we're going to be making a full video on these. If you guys are interested in that, then drop a comment if there's any in particular that you like or want to find out more about. But um, I'll leave you to do the outro.
Yeah, well, when it comes to reviewing these, it's all down to what we get drop wise. Obviously, we do this all off our own back, so when we don't have an endless limit of expenditure that we can chuck at it, unfortunately. So it's down to whatever we can get, really. But yeah, if you like this kind of content, feel free to subscribe. I'm the Galloping Major.
And see you back in the port.